Hello and welcome back to the History of Video Games. My name is Ben and I am joined as always by Wesley. How you doing, Wes?
I am doing great. How you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing pretty good. It's kind of a weird day for us. It's on a Tuesday, but everything kind of cleared up in my schedule today. I had some lessons, but like the last one got canceled, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so I'm feeling good. How are you feeling though?
I got those weird, we usually record on Sundays or Mondays, so those weird Tuesday vibes, but I'm ready for it. I had a lot of fun with our special topic today. It's a bit different, so I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, me too. But before we go in there, what have you been playing, Wes? I'm interested to know because I feel like I've been playing a lot of weird stuff this week. So, what have you been doing?
Ooh, okay. I don't know if I can live up to the weird stuff. I'm actually gonna hit back on some of the old ones that I've been playing a lot. Still, the wipe in Escape from Tarkov happened, I think, about 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just a reminder for everyone listening, it's still in, I think, technically beta. It's not released yet. So as they're making like massive changes to the economy of the game or how certain items work, how you acquire certain items, stuff like that, they're periodically wiping everybody's stash clean, getting rid of all the equipment that they've earned and all that, setting you back to zero, and then go back at it. And it's interesting because people can grind to. I play the game very slow, so this doesn't happen for me as much. But people grind to a certain point within like 2 months, and they're kind of like stuck at the end game. And in the current state of the game, they have nothing to do. So a lot of people get really excited for the wipes in Tarkov because it's like, all right, go back in it, do everything again, except now there's some new changes in it.
Sounds like they need a prestige system or something.
Exactly. Yes. And I'm glad that you thought of that right away because I've been watching a lot of people stream it and a lot of people are saying that in chat. And I was like, they really need a prestige system. But I think they'll do that. I think that's the plan. I mean, the game's called Escape from Tarkov, and currently there's no way to escape Tarkov. So
right.
People are thinking like, okay, they better introduce a prestige system where say like, I would think like you escape from Tarkov. Okay, now you're back at level 1, but maybe you have like a bunch of cool cosmetic gear or whatever it is. Like, and I think even that would be enough as long as they make good cosmetic gear, or like you get this certain type of gun earlier or something like that.
I feel like with the Call of Duty ones, it was literally like a little like badge on your on your costume or whatever. At least the ones that I played back in the day, it was like, oh, he's got 2 check marks, so he's got 2 prestige, and that was like the whole point.
Yeah, or like,
and people still loved it,
Yeah, people. It's something about like having something to grind for, even if it's. I mean, that kind of puts value in it in itself, as long as you enjoy the game. Yeah, like the ones where it's just like a small number next to whatever your character level is, and he's like, oh, he's level 20, but he's level prestige 2, level 20. It's like,
yeah,
that kind of thing. So hopefully that'll be in the game once it releases. But for now, the wipes, whenever they add new content, are pretty exciting. Also, when I bought the game was in a state where like a bunch of people just bought the game because there was Twitch drops and like promotions going on. But then a bunch of the player base has already had it without a wipe for like 4 months. So there was just like this huge divide of people who could only afford the worst gear and people who had money to just constantly throw away at the best gear.
Mm-hmm.
And since it simulates realism, like you need armor penetrating bullets to be able to get through certain armors. So some people like you would have to shoot them a ridiculous amount of times with crappy ammo to be able to do any damage to them at all. I could still play it pretty well because there was a lot of new players. So there was still people who were like at my skill level, but it was definitely a bit frustrating because people in that stage, there were just so many people who had better stuff than you. But so the wipe happened 2 weeks ago. I thought I was going to go hard and like play it constantly, but I ended up not being too much in the mood for it. But I've been getting back into it again now, and it's definitely a different environment. Like I see people wearing the crappy helmets that I have, and I'm like, okay, I can actually one tap this guy if I aim right.
Right.
And all the times I die, I can it means I have to blame it on my skill level, and I can't just blame it on them having good equipment, which is maybe a bad thing because I had that out before.
Right.
And there's a discussion going on right now about how easy it is to get end game equipment because a bunch of people, have just been playing the hell out of the new wipe and already have like the best stuff in the game, and it's only been 2 weeks. But it seems like there's still much more than it was pre this wipe, like people who I actually feel like I have a chance against, and it's definitely makes it more playable and a lot more fun. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that, and because of the nature of the game, some days really hating it. But as long as I don't take it too seriously, the skill grind is really fun. Like not in-game stats, but just like I spawn into a map and before I would just die and I wouldn't know why. And now it's like, okay, I died, but I spotted the guy who killed me. That's a big step.
Yeah.
Just like the map awareness and all that. So it's a lot of fun. I'm having a good time just kind of like getting better at it and feeling a lot more confident in it. And really, it's just like a good game for me, who someone who always hoards everything in games. Like this, you have to pick up everything and sell everything to make money. So I'm like, all right, this is right up my alley.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been doing recently. Let me hear about some of the weird stuff you've been playing.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, the not weird thing. I played a little bit more Far Cry 5. I beat the second mini boss, which is great. It actually ended up being a better boss than I thought because for a while I didn't quite like it, but or like the person, but the end boss fight was pretty cool actually. So, and since I took them out, now their whole zone it doesn't have as many bad guys, and like previously there's an airplane following me and trying to strafe me like all the time, even if I would just like take out a rocket launcher and shoot it down and be back in 5 minutes.
Oh,
I'd be like,
yikes.
get me out of here, and that's gone. So it's been pretty enjoyable. I'm still playing that. But yeah, the weird thing is I started playing a little bit of WoW. And this is a game that I basically banned from my life because I had to in like 10th grade. It was in Cataclysm. And I hated it at the time. And I basically have been making fun of the game for the past, like, I don't know, 10 years since then? Long time. And to be honest with you, I would still never give Blizzard any money for WoW. But my brother has an account that he doesn't play on, but he's like committed to paying the monthly fee for whatever reason. And I was like, hey, can I just like hop on? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I've been playing that a little bit, and I've been trying to like stay away from parts of the game that like I got frustrated with beforehand. The whole reason I wanted to play it again was, for one thing, I think I've been holding out for another MMO to come out that's really good, and there just hasn't been one. Like, I don't know if we'll ever see another big MMO like that, to be honest with you.
Right. It kind of, I've heard some people talk about it who were like huge WoW fans back in the day, and it just seems like without knowing it, it kind of hit like a cultural vein at like a certain time of the internet that like it just was perfect. Like that MMO for that time and all the stuff that it put into it.
Yeah. I mean, I've even heard that like even the best MMOs today, it would be hard to have a player base that is that large for that long to make a game that's similar in scope, even just a little bit to WoW. I mean, it's just been going so long, and despite its numbers have dropped, tremendously, it still makes a lot of money and they'd still do a lot of stuff. So it's just like, I don't know if we're ever going to see a game that has had 10 years of that kind of development behind it. I don't know, but
right.
It's interesting. One of the main reasons I wanted to come back to it is there's a thing called transmogging. Do you know what that is, Wes? Basically, it's like fashion frame, from Warframe.
Right. It's like cosmetic armor systems, right?
Yeah, kind of just armor sets and collecting them, and there's a whole system in the game that shows you every single armor set and how to get it. So I was kind of interested in that because I've seen these like transmog competitions on YouTube. And I was like, that looks like such a cool piece of gear. I think it'd be kind of fun just to like grind it out. And you can make a lot of really cool gear sets by not running like the top tier raids, which is, kind of like, to me, it would be very stressful.
Right.
And not really that enjoyable. But if I'm just like soloing a old dungeon, and I'm like way higher level than I'm supposed to be, it could be a lot of fun, I think. So, and just like collecting weird off the wall pieces that other people haven't done yet. So I'm kind of interested in that. Something else that's been an interesting part to me has been the pet system, which is again new. I have not played it since the pets were introduced, but going around and trying to collect all the pets would be pretty fun as well.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I don't know. So far, I'm enjoying it. Every single time I log on, I'm like, I have to remember you're gonna eventually hate this game. Like, I don't think there's a way to around it. But as long as I'm not paying any money and just dipping my toes in the water, I'm having fun. So I'm trying to stay not totally invested, and so far it's working.
Maybe that's a good way to do it. I mean, as long as you're having fun with it, you're not setting yourself up for disappointment. But so I take it you're playing retail then, if all those systems are in it.
Yeah, I'm not doing classic, if that's what you're saying.
Yes, yeah. I forget what the terminology is, but that's how I differentiate them in my mind.
Yeah, I'm doing the retail, I guess. So I don't know why I would play classic, to be honest, but
some people like the punishment of the grind and the old school Barons chat. I was there for that back before Burning Crusade even released somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when I quit it, I was in it so much that like I felt like if I didn't log on, I'd be like losing parts of my life. You know what I mean? Right. Like I don't want to get there. So I'm trying to just keep it light, you know?
Yeah. And to go off that, just to briefly mention, Animal Crossing has that same effect on you. Let me tell you.
That's dangerous, Wes.
It is. I stopped playing for a month because I was like, I feel like I need to play every day, so I should stop playing. And I went back and I'm playing now. Started for like probably a week. And it's fun, but like the villagers, when you get back after a month, they're all like, "Oh wow, we haven't seen you in a while." And like, you walk into your house and there's like cockroaches and stuff. It's horrible. It's an abusive system. Like it's basically a kid's game. What is going on here?
I mean, I could talk all day about WoW, to be honest with you, but let's move into the special topic because it's going to be a fun one today. It's not really related to the history of video games that much. It's more related to what's going on in our lives, which is just, you know, coronavirus has been happening. We've been at home a lot. I've been hunting for new YouTube channels to watch, and I was like, I finally found a couple, and I was like, you know what? I got to share these with Wes and everybody else. So we're going to just be sharing some small YouTube channels that you guys should check out today for our special topic.
Hell yeah. So do you want to start off then and go through? I figure we should do 3 at a time instead of the backy forthy, unless you want to do the switch.
We can do that. Yeah, because I don't want to make it sound like one's better than the other.
Exactly. Yeah, so let's go through our 3. Do you want to start with yours first?
Yeah, I'll start because the whole reason I thought of this topic is I found a YouTube channel like maybe a week ago, and I have just become obsessed with it, Wes. The channel is called MLW Wiffle Ball, and it's essentially some group of friends' backyard wiffle ball league. But what's crazy about it, there's a lot of crazy things about it. Number one, they started the channel like 7 years ago when they were in like elementary school, and obviously nobody watched that.
Right.
But they've been continuing to play the same league for like 7 years. Now they're in like high school, and they're very serious about it. They all have like really nice uniforms and numbers with their names on them. It's really interesting because they have stats that go back years, and they also have like rivalries that go back years. But like they're actually like good players now, which is weird because everybody takes it very seriously. But some of these pitches that these guys are throwing literally move like horizontal like 3 feet and then come back to the plate in one pitch. Because wiffle ball, you can really
you can do a lot of crazy stuff. It really
exaggerates that. But they're really good players, and not only is it good players, the editing is crazy good. There are like professional looking like what is it called, like sports packages, like the little transitions and like the countdowns and stuff like that.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, it's really good. They have multiple camera angles. They have instant replays, which they use in the game if somebody has an issue with a call. They have a commentator. It's the same commentator every game, and I think he's great. The editing is really well done. They only show you basically like the last pitch of whatever happened. So it could be a strikeout, it's just the last pitch of the strikeout. If somebody hits the ball, it's like just that one pitch. If someone hits a home run, it's just that one pitch. But it speeds it up to a point that's really like easy to digest, but you still get like the highlights, it feels like, you know? It's just really well done. Like I just have been loving it, and they've been expanding it every single year. And now, like, I just watched, they had their previous year's champion, they had a 30 for 30 mini documentary about that team's history with interviews and stuff, and it's produced really well. Like, it could have been like shown on ESPN, and everyone would have been like, yeah, ESPN made this. I mean, it's crazy how good it is, and the channel only has 35,000 subs, so they could easily triple that. And in a time right now when there's no sports on TV, it's just been like candy to me.
Right.
Because they started up their league like 2 weeks ago and are playing, so it's really good. And anytime there's a new video out, and I'm like, I gotta check this out.
What's the runtime like usually on one of their games?
Well, each video is actually 3 games. It's the same teams, they verse each other 3 times essentially, and I guess that's just the limit how many physical times they all have to meet up.
Right, sort of like playing a series, right?
Yeah, playing series all in one day, but each video is only like 10 to 15 minutes long because it's edited down.
Just all the highlights. Oh, that's cool. That's like super easy to just like accidentally chug through 3 at a time too when it's a 15-minute video.
It's really interesting too. They'll do things like they have in the middle of the second game, they'll have like a trivia question about the league. They have I think also in the second game they'll mic somebody up, and then you'll listen to all the mic'd up moments. It's crazy the level of detail. They had a night game where they brought out these big, I don't know, like industrial looking lights to light up the backyard. I mean, it's crazy, but it's really good, and I've just been loving it. Yeah, it's been really fun to watch, so I can highly recommend it. Just look up MLW Wiffle Ball and you'll find it. So that's the first one I have to say. The next one is a music one. I feel like I could have picked up from a lot of music channels because I am always looking for that as a musician myself. But if you like the kind of covers that I do in the middle of our episodes, like kind of the rocky metal ones, there's a channel that you guys should check out. The guy only has 20K subscribers. So I'm like, this guy is so good. He should be like quadrupling that. And the guy's name is, I'm going to say this wrong, but I think it's called Yao Medeiros. It's spelled Joao. It's his first name. And then Medeiros, Medeiros. But basically he does metal covers of, real bands, metal songs. But the thing about it is, if you're not like all into like metal screaming and stuff, all of his covers are only instrumental. And what's amazing about it is that every single instrument he completely like retracts. So there's no like part of the original track or the original song in his cover. Every single instrument is his own like music. So wow. It's really, really high quality too. Like the guy can play, which is great, but he can also mix and master extremely well. And he always makes his covers basically sound like just like the originals. I mean, everything from like little violin parts that are in there to horns or piano, like he'll add all of it in. All the drums are tracked, and he does all the guitars and bass. It's just really high quality. Like I can't say anything more than it's some of the best covers that I've heard. And anytime he puts out a new video, I'm like, I gotta check this out. He usually picks like really nice songs too. So if you're like, maybe I like metal music, but the screaming's like kind of throwing me or whatever, this is perfect because it's all instrumental and you still get the crazy riffs and the solos and everything else. So
nice.
It's really good. Really, really good. But I could have listed a bunch of people there, but I'm going to choose him because his channel is so small and it should be way better, way bigger. And then the last one, I kept going back and forth. I don't know who I should do. There's some like gaming channels I wanna say, but I think I'm gonna go with David Bull, and I'm almost positive I've shown you this guy, Wes, but David Bull is a master wood carver who lives in Japan. and does these wood block prints. Basically, if you like Bob Ross, you have to check this guy out because he is the Bob Ross of wood carving, essentially. And he's so easy to listen to. He doesn't post that often. Actually, his business has like tremendously exploded. So he does a lot more of that now than posting videos. But I actually bought a woodblock print from him, and I have it in my apartment, and it's one of my favorite things that I own. But it's really really interesting and cool just watching him do these crazy insane carves that you're just like, how is like a single wrong chisel would just destroy the entire piece, you know what I
Right.
mean? And there are no mistakes like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he does it for hours. I mean, it's crazy.
I love watching stuff like that.
Yeah, so if you like Bob Ross, check him out, please. He's so good. And his channel is at 99.9 thousand subscribers. So be that 10,000th person. And he's an old guy too, super nice like Bob Ross. But you know, show him some love, support. But those are 3 channels that you guys should check out if you haven't. They're all really, really good. I could totally recommend them. But that's it for me. I'm very curious to hear what yours are, Wes, because knowing you, whatever you like, I'm probably going to really enjoy too.
Yeah. I think there might be some overlap. I gotta admit out the gate that these are not necessarily small channels. I think they all hover around the 200,000 and 300,000 mark.
Mm-hmm. That's still small.
Small-ish, and still
Yeah.
like really interesting content, of course, that I think people should check out. So the first one I have is actually another music one. I'm glad you did some of that so that I wasn't left out by not doing gaming.
Mhm.
I just found this one out today, actually. I just
Oh,
started
wow.
watching. It looks like it's a pretty small catalog of videos, so maybe not like a binge watch kind of thing, but some cool stuff so far. And I found it just after listening to like tons of funky jazz stuff.
Nice.
So the channel's called Julia Plays Groove, and it's this teenage bass player who is self-taught, and
Ooh.
she just covers like bass tracks for a bunch of popular new songs and just does like these crazy riffs and solos over them. And I don't know, I don't know enough about bass to know how good she is, but it seems like she's really good. And also, I think she's like pretty young and has only been playing for like 4 years or something crazy.
Hmm.
So it's nuts. Yeah, she's been sent like a bunch of bass guitars, and I'm just ready to go back and listen to a bunch more of them because I'm always down for just like someone jamming on the bass for jazz.
The question is, Wes, does she slap?
I think she does. Yeah, she definitely slaps.
Yeah.
It depends on
Good.
the song. All the tracks slap, but then she also slaps on tracks, if you know what I mean. But
Okay.
did I say that right? I don't.
Yeah, sure. I feel like I would love that. I gotta check that out.
Yeah. It's super chill. Like it's just like a camera and then her playing bass. Like it's not it's sort of the opposite of being. I mean, I really enjoy like super well produced, but this is just like the bass sounds good and that's all that matters. And it's cool. It's super simple. And like I said, I don't think there's tons of videos that she has on her channel, but definitely worth checking out. And then the next one that I wanted to talk about, switching back to gaming, is of course something about Escape from Tarkov, because I've been binging that. Like I've been watching it in the background. People play it while I'm doing work from home stuff, and then also I've been playing it when I'm done working. A bit too much, but I was hunting around for. There's a ton of different content creators for Escape from Tarkov, and a lot of great ones. But the one that I gravitated to was a channel called Deadly Slob. He's this awesome, like, giant beard Canadian dude, which kind of gives you a feel right off the bat, but just super, like, nice, low key, explains a bunch of stuff about the game, and he does both YouTube and then he also streams as well on Twitch.
Okay.
So I like going to his YouTube because he has a lot of great, like, highlight videos, but then also kind of explains how to do the questing in the game, and also talks like theory about the current state of the game and stuff like that. And then on his streams, he just kind of gets into like goofy conversations, and for a lot of people, it's an incredibly stressful game. He'll go in with like a super expensive kit, and he'll be like, you know, a little upset if he loses it in a dumb way, but then he's just like, okay, let's just do another one. And It's super refreshing to see, like, if I'm getting stressed about the game, but I still like the game, but then it's like I'm stressed about it, and it's a weird relationship. But I watch him play, and I'm like, yeah, just don't take it so seriously. This guy gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so super entertaining. Seems like a great guy and makes a lot of great content. This is his main game, but then he's also branching out and doing like variety streaming and stuff too. So if you check him out on Twitch, he also plays Star Citizen, which I was like, oh man, that's right up my
Oh,
alley too. So
nice.
yeah, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out on stuff that he's doing in the future too. And then the last one that I want to recommend today, same thing. I was like, as I recommended this last one, thought of about like 5 other channels at least that I was like, oh shoot, I should really say that too.
Right.
But of course, if we keep thinking that, we could do another one of these in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But the last one, I think, is the first channel I ever subscribed to.
Oh, wow.
It's been, I think he's been making videos for 9 years, and I've been watching them for like 8.5 years. And I'm pretty sure he's the first person I subscribed to, Kurt J. Mack. He started out as a Minecraft streamer or Minecraft YouTuber and still does Minecraft, I think, daily. But he started like a semi-popular series called Farlands or Bust, where he walks in one direction in Minecraft, basically treats it like a podcast while he's walking. And in the build of Minecraft that he's playing, there's this area where the random terrain generation numbers in Minecraft fail and start generating like crazy terrain. And when it was still in the game, people nicknamed it the Farlands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he decided like, I wonder if I should just like start walking there and see how long it would take to get there and treat it as like a walkathon. And he refuses whenever someone like calculates the math and figures out that it would take like multiple years in real life of actual walking time to be able to get there. But he's been doing that for 9 years straight. And he breaks it up into yearly seasons now, where he does a charity and kind of treats it like a in-game charity walkathon where people can donate to a different charity each season.
Wow.
And it's so crazy. I think he understands how weird it is that he still does this like walkathon in Minecraft daily, and he still runs on like this old version of the game because they took the Farlands out of the game at one point.
Yeah.
But it's just like super weird and interesting. I think is one of the things that got me excited about Minecraft like way back when. He's far enough into the game now that it like is breaking as he plays it. Like the little highlight thing whenever you look at like a dirt block or a block and it like highlights it with a black outline in Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
The point that he's at, the like floating some kind of value, like the floating decimal value or something that's causing an error in that version of the game is off enough that like the highlight for the block that you're looking up at doesn't actually line up with the blocks anymore. And like
Nice.
the blocks just like slowly visually shift whenever he moves. So he's getting there. It's going to take many years, but he's just a super nice guy, turned it into a fundraising thing. And I think he streams now as well. He does a lot of like racing games and he loves talking space. So he also like when he does podcast style games talks about all the different NASA projects that are going on and that kind of stuff. So he's got like quirky offbeat humor. I can relate to him because he has social anxiety and said he started his channel to get over social anxiety. So I think that's really great. And just all around an awesome guy who I think people should definitely check out.
Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's such a unique thing he does.
It's so weird. It's like one of those weird niche things that define a channel and you're like, how does that work? But
yeah.
It's super interesting. It's basically just Minecraft's the background, but his personality kind of takes over and fills the space. It's really cool.
Right. Man, I'm trying to think what my first subscribe to channel is. I've got no clue, to be honest.
I gotta check. There's probably a way to check that statistic, but I'm pretty sure it's this guy.
I would guess mine's probably the Yogscast.
Oh,
I don't know, though. Either them or actually, I think way back, I watched a lot of Ray William Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like the number one on the platform at the time, so I think it could be very possible, too.
That makes sense.
But yeah, that'll do it. Hopefully I'll remember, but I'll try to put the links to all these channels in the description of this episode. But please check out these channels. They are so good. Wes and I both think that these channels are just incredible and they deserve more people looking at them because they're small channels. So please check them out and hopefully you guys will like them. I know you will. So if you have some extra time during this shutdown, well, hopefully that helps a little bit. But let's take a little bit of a break and then move into the timeline. Hello and welcome back. We're going to hop right into the timeline, and the first couple games we have here are all from the RCA Studio II. I'm going to rate kind of two of them as a combined, and then Wes is going to rate one as well. The two I'm going to do, one's from TV Arcade 3, and it's got two games on it, tennis and squash, which I'll talk about in a sec. And the other one is from the TV Arcade series, and that's called Speedway and Tag. So kind of like a combination of four games here for me. But I want to reveal the title of today's episode because I actually have been hiding it from Wes without him knowing. And I'm very curious to get your opinion on this, Wes. The title is The Worst Game So Far, ?
Oh, man.
Yeah, these games are trash. They are so bad, Wes, that to the point that originally I wasn't going to cover them because I was like, they're not worth talking about. You know, they're that bad. But the more I thought about these games, the more angry they made me. And I was like, I need to talk about them and rate them just so I can bring it back up at the end of the year and talk about how much I hate them again. That's how much I hate these games, Wes.
Oh my goodness. All right. Wow. I'm excited.
So this will be a fun one. Let's start out with tennis and squash. Okay. First of all, the RCA Studio II is a second gen console that hasn't had a Pong game on it yet, which I've liked because I'm pretty sick of Pong at this point, Wes. And I think what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to compare the gameplay of this to the 8500 because we've talked about the 8500 a lot. Came out last year. It was good for like a couple months, and then we were kind of getting sick of it. And you know, the 8500 nowadays is like pretty bad. Like if we went back to it, we wouldn't be happy, right?
Yeah.
So I just thought maybe I'd compare it to that just as a stand-in. Number one, they're both in black and white, so they got that going for them. Number two, which one looks better? The 8500 looks a lot better than this game. This game, the paddles are ginormous.
Yeah.
And I'll get into maybe the next thing is the gameplay. Which one plays better? Also, the 8500 plays better than this. The refresh rate of this system is so bad that the ball does not move fluidly. I mean, it's like it's there for 1 second, and then it teleports like 5 pixels over, and then it teleports 5 pixels over, and then it teleports. And I timed it out for the squash game. It takes 6 seconds for the ball to get back to your paddle after you hit it.
Oh, man.
It is so long. It is the slowest game of Pong I've ever seen. And to be honest, there's no positive to that. Like, it's just like the gameplay is terrible on this game. But let's keep going. You know, what about sound? Does it sound better? No, the 8500 still sounds way better than this because it's basically silent. So, this game, it confuses me how bad it is. It makes sense that they didn't release it right away, but charging anybody any money for this game is too much money, in my opinion, because literally they were making Pongs in 1972 that were better than this. So, it was just terrible, Wes. I mean, imagine playing Pong and it takes 3 seconds for the ball to go across the screen. The paddles are ginormous, so nobody ever scores a point, which means game matches literally take minutes of your life away, and a minute is already a long time. It looks bad. There is a score, but again, that's not really a benefit at this point. It's just not good. It's really not good. The squash, it keeps score of like how many times you hit it and then how many times it passes you, but it only shows the score once it's passed you. So you could hit it for 50 times and kind of just be guessing about what your score is, and you won't know until you lose. So if you're trying to like hit 50 in a row, you're going to have to count that by hand. I mean,
you never know how good you are.
What can I say?
That's insane.
Yeah. Also, the paddles are being controlled with numpads. Keep that in mind. So when you move it up and down, it's like it moves a set distance. There is no like, oh, I'm just going to nudge it up a little bit to move, very slowly and very precisely. It just moves like a set amount of distance away. It's just terrible. What can I say? And then going along with that, let's look at the second ragtag bunch of games here from the arcade series, Speedway and Tag. This was essentially their version of Grand Track 10. And so I'm going to compare it to Grand Track 10. Which one looks better? Grand Track 10 looks way better. This one, the track is kind of like a letter B shaped, which means that in the middle of the B is a lot of like blank space that just doesn't get used. So the track's not very good looking. All the cars are essentially just squares. Even in the original Grand Track 10, they looked like cars a little bit. This is just like a square. There are 2 different looking squares to determine player 1 and 2, but it's not good looking. I'll say. Let's talk about how you play the game. In the original Grand Track 10, you used a wheel and a pedal to have a racing kind of game. This one is obviously numpads, and I don't know about what you know about numpads, Wes, but they don't really go diagonal, at least in this one. So all the corners of the track are 90-degree turns, and your car turns on a dime. So it's basically like a square goes left, and you're hitting left, you're holding down left, okay, now I'm holding down up, and it's going up. And now I'm holding down left again. I mean, there's no real like gameplay. It's more just like hold this number on the number pad for a certain amount of time and then hold a different number. That's it. That's all the gameplay there is to this game. So sounds good. In the original Grand Track 10, there were sections of the track where your car could really speed up, so you get that kind of sense of speed, and if you took turns right and kept that speed, you could do really well. In this game, because of the refresh rate, the max speed is very slow. And it is not hard to just go through the entire racetrack at the max speed, holding it down the whole time. You're not going to have any issues. So
right.
I would say like at some point, because the cars are so big, they'll hit each other, and whoever like gets out of the jam first is probably going to win the game. So that's what the 2-player game is like. What about I mentioned the track a little bit. Obviously, this has 90-degree turns that look really jaggedy. In the original Grand Track 10, they were like curved, which makes sense. So the track looks way better in the original. And for sound, the original had like a car sound. This one, again, silent.
Yeah, same as Freeway, I'm guessing, where if no sound is happening, that means you're playing the game right, which is very strange.
I mean, it's absolutely terrible, Wes. It's terrible. The other game on this one is called Tag, and it's literally, just a blank screen, 2 squares. One square has a dot on it. That is the square that has to catch the other guy. And the other guy just has to run around and not be touched for 20 seconds, which is a long time. 20 seconds is a long time, and that's the game. But the main one is obviously Speedway that they were trying to sell. And just like the Pong games, it's worse than the original in just about every way you could imagine. And these games angered me. I don't know if you could tell, Wes. I'm like, how can you mess up Pong? I mean, it came out 5 years ago. How could, it just don't put it out. It would have been better if you just didn't put it out.
Yeah.
At least with the game you're going to rate, I thought maybe it was a little bit more interesting. I'm not saying it's going to be good necessarily, but This is like very clearly two games inspired by two better games that have been done on other consoles better. So I don't know what to say. Let's get into the ratings maybe, because this was a joy to rate, as you can guess. Let's start with sound, the easy one. Actually, not easy. You know, there is sound. There's beeps and bloops, but the sound angered me in how infrequently it was used. So much so that I just gave it a 0. Like, you didn't use it. I don't understand. So it just angered me to the point I just gave it a 0. For graphics, I actually gave graphics 1 out of 10. And that's only because despite how bad the racing game looks, I think it's still probably one of the better looking games on the console because the whole console doesn't look very good. And at least the screen is like busy enough to the point where it looks like it could be fun, even though it's not. It looks like it could be from the graphics. So I wanted to give it a little point there. So 1 out of 10 there. For gameplay, I gave it 0.5. I'd almost rather not play it. If I'm being honest, you're gonna like hate yourself playing this game. So I just gave it 0.5. There is gameplay, but I'd rather there wasn't any, to be honest with you. So 0.5 out of 10. For relevance, I don't know. I gave it 3. I mean, the one thing that is relevant is Speedway. I think it's one of the games Joyce worked on, who was the first woman in video games to like develop something. And I want to be very clear, I don't blame the developers at all for the bad quality of these games. It's clearly the console just can't do it. That's what I'm learning. Like, all the games we've done so far have been kind of hopeful that maybe it'll turn around. But if you can't make Pong correctly, you're not going to be able to make Grand Track 10 correctly on this. So I don't blame her at all. And I think I read that she even developed it like in 76, so like last year. And I think she was in like high school. So I think she did a fantastic job, but that's the only reason why it might be relevant. I'm hoping it's relevant because everybody else is going to look at this and be like, this sucks, let's not do this. And that gives me an overall score of probably a generous 0.75 out of 10. These games sucked, Wes. They were absolute garbage, and I hope I never look at them again.
Wow. Just step aside Hammurabi. We got a new contender.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. Which one would I rather play? I think I'd still rather play these than Hammurabi, to be fair.
Oh, okay. But still, that's...
Yeah. It's not like it's close, and that's saying a lot. Like, playing these to rate, these ones would be better. If I was playing with these games with another person, like imagine you were playing Pong to first one to 5 wins, it would literally take a half an hour, and at that point I'd rather play Hammurabi, I think.
Yeah.
So with 2 people, I'd say these are worse. Yeah, it's just like when somebody can't do Pong, and this is a 2nd gen console, but like it should be able to play Pong. That's bad. That's really in 77. I mean,
yeah,
this is TV Arcade 3. You've had 2 other arcades before this. They're trying to figure this out. And I don't know if I've played a worse Pong console in all of the timeline. I don't know if I have. And that's bad. That's really bad. And Speedway it's like so far removed from any kind of racing. I mean, the controls are more like you're controlling a snake on like a skinny path that has turns in it. Because it only turns 4 directional. There's no diagonals. So
right.
It's just really weird and bad. And there's no sense of speed. I don't know. I could go on and on and on. But essentially, I wanted to bring these up because I'm going to bring them up again at the end of the year. I'm for sure.
Right.
That's the only reason why I'm doing this, to be honest with you. But,
well, I think that's well worth it. And as we've talked about when we first talked about the RCA Studio II, it also seemed like there's a lot of like the company, or I forget if it was the FCC or what it was, but it was supposed to be released in 76, where these it still would have been kind of bad, but they would have seemed a little bit better than coming out in 77 when we're seeing all these. And also, it had very slight, in the vein of the Fairchild, that like Odyssey charm of like weird clunky games that are at least kind of new. But
Hmm.
when you just say, let's do Pong on a system that obviously can't
Yeah.
play a good
Like
game
there's
of
nothing
Pong.
unique about it or charming that saves these games.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe Speedway a little bit, but it just plays so poorly.
Yeah. Oof. That's what I
Yeah,
gotta say
so
about that.
I hope that was a good surprise for you, Wes.
That was, I wasn't expecting that, but now that I've heard you explain it, it makes a lot of sense.
So there was another game that we're going to do from the RCA Studio 2 today, and it's called Baseball that you did, Wes. And I crossed my fingers because when I saw it, I was like, should I just include this in my worst game? So I was like, you know what, maybe it's unique enough to actually have some merit. Like it shouldn't be included in these two games anyway. So how was Baseball? Was it terrible as well? We need to
Well,
know.
all right. I gotta say, I think the RCA Studio 2 does not play games well. And
Yep.
I don't think that's hidden.
I should mention I've seen articles and stuff that have said, is the RCA Studio 2 the worst console of all time? I've seen stuff like that, and I've always kind of dismissed it as like, well, they haven't played all the consoles like we're going to. So it seems like just one of those things that people like exaggerate, but it might be like it's I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see, I guess.
And I haven't researched it in depth, but from the brief bit I read about it, it also sounded like any of the games that were played on any of these cartridges had like extremely limited memory that the games could be put on even for the time. So that's
Right.
like when we get these graphics that are just so minimal and the system itself can't handle things going quickly. But I'm getting sidetracked. So let me talk about baseball because I do think this is a good, or at least better than those games and worth talking about on its own.
Thank God.
So this was the TV Arcade 4 cartridge baseball. Just a little interesting tidbit. This probably was on most of the cartridges, but I think there was a brief description of the rules on the cartridge so you could actually read it while you were playing. And also to quote the instruction pamphlet that came with it, it contains an exciting sports action game for two players, which I don't know if they really proved that statement. But the gameplay itself, it pretty much just plays a simple game of baseball. It has, I think, 2 or 3 different pitches that you could throw, and you can also control 3 outfielders. You control all of them at the same time. They all follow the same movement, but you can actually, as the batter, hit fouls. You can strike out. You can hit home runs. I don't think you can bunt, but you can actually like hit to different areas of the screen. And the scoring was a little bit confusing in this, but I think it was only a 3 inning game, as far as I could tell.
Okay.
But even right off the bat, you can tell it's better than the ones that you just talked about, thankfully.
Yeah. There's some gameplay there.
Exactly, yeah. So to start off with the graphics for this, I gave it a 1 out of 10 because, like all other RCA Studio 2 games we've seen, the graphics are not great. It's black and white. I don't know if pixel is the right term or not, but that's the way that it makes sense to me. But like the pixel size for this game is just like gigantic. So
Yeah.
any shape that needs to be like have any amount of detail just takes up so much of the screen, which is why they use boxes a lot of the time because you could actually make it pretty small, I think. But so like there's all these large blocky shapes. With what the visuals were working with though, as far as what the RCA Studio 2 is capable of, I think this game actually does a pretty good job of showing like a bat swinging. It's just like the batter is a box, but then there's a line that kind of swings over the box and turns white when it intersects. So you can actually see it like go over the thing. And, it's not very
Mhm.
smooth, but you can at least tell like, oh, the bat swung. It shows which bases are occupied because they're white bases, but then a black square appears in the center when they're occupied. And the outfielders aren't just squares, thankfully. They're like these weird blocky parentheses, but it at least kind of like makes sense because you're trying to catch something. So it's like, okay, ball goes into this like parabola thing. So I get
Yeah.
that.
The ball might be like the fastest moving thing we've ever seen on the RCA Studio 2, to be honest.
I know, and I was really surprised by that. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact that it's only like 1 pixel large, maybe.
Mhm.
So it like the console can actually keep up with it, but it actually travels off the screen kind of fast, which I think means that it's a little bit hard for the catchers to catch it, but then the catchers, or sorry, the outfielders to catch it, but they also take up a decent bit of the screen. So
Yeah.
it didn't seem that bad. So going back to the graphics, I mean, even though everything looks bad, I'm thankful that at least like batter, pitcher, and outfielders all look different. That's saying
Yeah.
something for this console. I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
The lettering for the scoring is actually pretty clear too, but because it's pretty clear, it takes up about like 40 or 30% of the whole screen. It's just like the whole right side of half of the right side of the screen is 4 lines of scoring. I also didn't really know what it meant too much, but I think that's more because I'm not like super into baseball. Like I knew one was tracking fouls, strikes, and outs, and then one was tracking how many runs in the inning. But there was one that switched, which I think was just total score of runs for each team that just like toggled back and forth. So
Okay.
it was a little confusing in that aspect, but I think that was more on my end than the game's end. So really, graphically, it's not great, but it communicated what it needed to pretty well. I was surprised. For sounds, though, I gave it a 0.5 out of 10. It's not to the point where it's detrimental necessarily, like the way that yours it was with the games that you played, but it's still just those 2 beeps. I think it's like one for hit and then one for strike, and then a really loud and annoying one for getting an out. But it's that's it. There's not too much more to say about that. It's not too much going on.
It's something.
Yes, yeah. The gameplay, though, I did give a 1.5 out of 10, which, oh boy, we're getting up into the high ratings now. It actually, I played through it. It played all right. I mean, even considering I was using arrow keys, so similar to the fact that it would have been played on a numpad. I like that it's 2-player, even though you're squeezed around that one console. And while it doesn't really do anything super innovative gameplay wise, I do feel like most of the things you would expect to be able to do in a baseball game, you can do, which is, I mean, pretty good. It's
Yeah.
it's more than what I was expecting when I saw this was an RCA Studio II game, I think.
Right. I think the only thing that throws me, there's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's bases necessarily, right? It's just like single and then it tracks that. But you don't see like somebody walking to first base, I don't think.
Well, so it happens really quickly, but the bases actually do blink with a black
Oh,
square
they
on
do.
top of the white base
Oh.
as the person runs the bases.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
pretty
right?
good.
I was really impressed by that, and I think probably certain sides of the screen, determine whether it's like a single, double, or triple or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or it might be like slightly random. But it happens pretty fast, but at least it also tracks the runs. So even if like 3 people go by because I hit a home run and everyone was on base and I didn't know, I can like see that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it actually shows you who's on base, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's more than I thought.
Exactly, yeah. So that considered too, I'd really think 1.5 for the gameplay. It's actually pretty alright. And for a console baseball game, I was pretty impressed with it. For relevance though, I gave it a 5 out of 10. I think it's great to see baseball on a home console, and it's a nice change of pace from some of the other stuff we've seen. But just the console like keeps any game that's put on this console from being that relevant because it just doesn't have the capability, really.
Right.
It's not super great. So a little relevant because it's a pretty functional baseball game, but that's about it.
Considering that it's a functional baseball game, I think it's probably one of the best on the system so far.
It absolutely is. I mean, when you look at, I was thinking about Freeway when you were talking about Speedway, and I was just like, my God, that game sucked. And it's this is actually
Yeah.
like, I don't think I'd have a great time playing it, but I could play it, which is is pretty good. So overall, I gave it a 1.5 out of 10. It does a pretty good job of making a baseball game for a console, honestly, which is great for the RCA Studio 2. It plays all right, but the graphics and sound are pretty lacking. But I feel like it had a lot of good ideas in it. It was just kind of held back by the capabilities of the console. So, I don't know if it would be too much fun, but honestly, they did a pretty all right job with it.
Nice. Good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, a bit of a higher note for the end of our RCA Studio 2 games today.
Yeah, that'll do it for RCA Studio for today. We're gonna visit them again in the future. The next one is called Gunfighter slash Moonship Battle, which is a title that excites me, but we'll see. But we'll do that later in the future. But yeah, so let's move on out of that. We're gonna talk about some kits today. We're gonna start here with one called the CEA Tello kit, which basically had a Pong and Breakout variant. As you guys hopefully remember, all these kits were like build it yourself. It came with like the CPU and some of the boards and like instructions, but you had to like solder stuff. I guess it saved money, but they're pretty like I would say specialized, like they only can do what they can do. And
Right.
this one, it played Pong and Breakout. It also had 2 racing games, which I thought was a very interesting addition and one that we don't see. But that's the CEA Tello kit anyway.
Then next up, we actually have one that we missed when we were going through our 76 releases, so a bit of a retcon here. And that is Video Ball by Electronics Australia, which had 32 Pong variants on it, including some where when one player moved, it slightly influenced the movement of the other player, which is one of those Pong variants where you're like, I don't know if that's good, but at least it's interesting. I mean, so that one there, again, it came out in 76. We just found that out recently and wanted to put it in here. And then next up, we have Nemesis 7 by Computer Creations Incorporated, which played NIM.
I mean, you can build it yourself though, Wes, right?
But there you go, yeah.
Let's move on from that. We're going to start talking about some arcade stuff now, which is always good. This next game is the one that I was planning on rating until tennis and squash made me rethink my life. But this one's called Flying Shark by Model Racing. There's one video on it on YouTube. It's not the best quality, and I want to say the video's only like 30 seconds long. So in the end, I was kind of I was on the edge about it anyway. But it's kind of an interesting airplane game. The reason why it's interesting is it's a top-down airplane game. The movement is very much like the bullet hell games that we know from arcades today, and that excites me. However, the gameplay was more just like it was your airplane, obviously, that was flying around, top-down, 8-directional movement, and there were 2 AI airplanes that would, once you shot them down, they would always spawn from behind you, which was interesting, and that actually caused, in the video I watched, there wasn't a single time when the AI didn't shoot down the guy playing. So it seems like a really hard one. You have to outmaneuver them and try to get behind them, but it could be pretty fun. And it used some nice overlays to make it look like a sky-colored background. So it's honestly, I think, a pretty decent game, but I didn't have the time to rate it this week. And also, I don't know if the video that we have is good enough to like be very confident and that's all it was, but it seems like a pretty interesting one anyway. I like that it's a top-down airplane game as far as the movement goes, because that really reminds me of like those bullet hell games that will eventually become like a genre in and of themselves. So
yeah,
it's kind of cool to see that this early in 77 anyway.
I feel like it's mid 90s maybe when we start to get a lot of those, like the Robotech variant ones where it's like the top down. Yeah, so we got a ways to go, but there's signs of those already.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize this, Wes. I switched the order of the beginning in our episode, and now it's thrown off the end because now you're going to rate another game for us. So everything's off today, but we're just having fun. It's Tuesday. Who cares?
We're just going with the flow, and I'm going to read another game, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So the next one that I got to take a look at and play is an arcade cabinet by Atari, Sprint 8, which came out in May of 1977. Another one of these Sprint series of games, and if you take a clue from the naming conventions as we've seen before, it means that it's an 8-player version of this Sprint game. So to start off talking about the cabinet, it's kind of crazy. I really like it. It's like the cocktail cabinet style where the screen is flat on the bottom, but it's kind of sunk in, so it almost looks like you're sort of like in like a racetrack, like stadium seating kind of thing on the edges. And then since it's 8-player, on each of the sides there are two steering wheels, two shifters, and two pedals.
Nice.
And there are like short sides and long sides, I think, unless it's square and I was looking at it wrong. But either way, it looks like it would be a little bit tight to be able to be like whipping the wheels around as you do in this game because it has a lot of speed to it. One of the best features about this is each player had a color coded car, and the score that was direct on the screen directly above their wheel was color coded as well. And it had a nice feature where if AI were playing, the score would change to say traffic instead to represent that like that player was a traffic player. There were 4 different tracks with escalating difficulty based on the track that came with this cabinet. And it looks like there was also a different mode, but in our research, we couldn't tell if this was stock with the cabinet or if it was one of those situations where like you switch out a chip in the cabinet and it plays a different game. I'm going to be talking about it. It's the tag and chase game modes, talking about it as if it's part of this cabinet, but we just wanted to say we don't really know. This came out in 77, but we don't know in what format or any more details about it, really.
Mm-hmm. For that tag chase side game, anyway.
Yes, yeah, for the tag chase games, which basically is just a different game mode of Sprint 8. So a lot of it I'm going to be talking about Sprint 8, and it'll kind of bleed over to that game type as well. So for the gameplay itself, it plays pretty much like previous Sprint Grand Track games as the top-down view, little go-karts racing around the track. Go around the track as many times as you can in the time limit and earn points for each lap that you complete. Interesting note for this one, there is no collision with other player cars. You can go right through them, but you can crash into walls and you stop completely when you do. You don't like explode or respawn. So slight differences from some of the other racing games that we've seen. And a great feature about this one is if you're taking a turn sharp enough at a fast enough speed, you can actually drift around corners, which is pretty sick.
Yes.
You can actually like see the tail end kind of fishtail out a little bit, and you actually do have to like counter steer and correct back to straighten out after a turn. It's obviously not like up to par as current racing games, but it's pretty dang good. And considering you'd be doing it with a wheel on an arcade cabinet, I bet it would have felt pretty good too. For the gameplay of the tag and chase modes, in tag, every player starts with 500 points. You're on an empty track with borders, and one person's score starts flashing and slowly ticking down until they tag somebody else. And basically, whoever has the most points left at the end of the time limit wins. And then in the chase game mode, it was basically a flipped version of this. Everyone has 0 points, and you gain points for hitting and hovering over other cars. For that part of it, I watched a video where someone was playing tag, so I can confirm that gameplay. But for chase, I just found that listed on some random website that said this is how you play chase. So I can't really confirm that that's how you play it, but it kind of makes sense.
I think the tag chase game is actually kind of interesting here because you're chasing and trying to tag with like the drifting mechanic. So I feel like you actually have like there's more like skill to outmaneuvering somebody chasing you, which is actually could make the game not completely boring.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of nonsense in like a great way because people were just kind of like doing circles around each other, drifting to try and tag other people.
Right.
So yeah, it looked pretty good. And I will talk about that a little bit more about how I felt about that gameplay in my gameplay rating for this. So let's get straight into it with my graphics rating for the Sprint 8. The track itself is pretty simple. It's just a black background. There's white dots that show the boundaries. The car sprites are kind of the typical Grand Track, like a line with 2 dots on either side for the wheels. The main thing I really like about these graphics, though, is, of course, the fact that there's a little bit of color. It's great to see 8 distinct and bright colors on the screen at once for all the different players. Even though it's only on the score and the cars, it's nice to have a little bit of color there. But that being considered, it doesn't really feel like much of an improvement over other racing games that we've seen previously. And I forget if I mentioned it right at the top, but because of all those considered, I gave it a 1.5 out of 10 for graphics. For sound, I give it a 2 out of 10. I'm pretty sure these are the same sounds that we've heard in previous Sprint games, maybe slightly changed, which isn't great. But you do have gear shift noises, revving noises, tire squeal around corners, which happens a lot, so it's a little abrasive, but I do like the fact that the sound's there. And you have a crash noise when you hit any of the walls, and then also an idle sound when you're not moving. So there are a lot of different sounds, but I feel like we've heard them all before. Couldn't really tell if there was a blend of noises for all the cars either, or if it just followed the noises of the first player. Because sometimes, 7 people would be going around the track, but one person would crash and you'd hear the idling noise over everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But it would kind of make sense when you have 8 different players that you couldn't have sounds for all of them playing at the same time. So I think it either followed the first player or maybe had like 2 different sounds kind of playing, interchanging. But overall, the sound is kind of hectic in, I think, a good way, even though it's a little grating. But you kind of want that hectic sound all the time when you're playing a racing game, at least the engine sound all the time. And it's definitely better, a funny coincidence, than silence in racing games, which me and Ben have experience with now, playing the RCA Studio II racing games.
Yep.
And then for gameplay, I'm going to break it up into 2 ratings. I just gave it a 2 out of 10 if we're talking about Sprint 8 in itself, but 3 out of 10 if we're talking about the tag and chase modes included in that. I think the base game is fun, and it really benefits from having 8 players. I don't really know how comfortable it would be to play, considering you're all crammed around that one cocktail table, but it kind of looks chaotic in the best way. Like, you have all those people racing together, and having all those people in the same room together, I feel like it would be a lot of fun. And it's also great that there's an option for this to have AI cars fill in with all of the other missing players. It always makes sure that there are 8 cars on the track. Even if you only had like 4 players, there would be 4 AI to fill in.
Nice.
So overall, yeah, it's pretty good. It plays pretty well, but I only gave it a 2 out of 10 when we're just talking about that mode because it's really not that different than other arcade racing games we've seen, other than the fact that it has 8 players.
Do you know how many? It has more than one track, I think, right? How does that
It
work?
does, yeah. It has 4 tracks. I think you could select them at the beginning of when you put your coin in, and I
Okay.
think they were just basically more difficult. Like, one's an oval, one has a bend, one actually like loops back on itself, so you have to know to go like a certain direction. And I
Hmm.
don't think I took a look at the 4th one, but there are a decent bit. Although I think I saw somewhere that some of the previous sprint games had more tracks, even. So
Yeah, I think the first one had like. Well, I remember one of. I want to say maybe one of the indie games had like 12 tracks or something. There's definitely been more than 4 for sure.
yeah, so it's a nice amount of variety, but really, considering it's only one of every difficulty level, if you were at a certain
Right.
stage in the game, you would only play one over and over again anyway. So it's not a lot of variety there either. But I did want to take into account the tag and chase game modes because I think they really switch up racing games in a great way. They're basically variations on the same game, but it's a real fun new spin to not have a track, to just kind of be stuck in this thing, sort of like one of the Demolition Derby type games. And
Mhm.
it has the same hectic energy because you have the drifting, you have the speed, and you're just all chasing each other around the screen.
Right.
I really thought those were a decent bit more fun, and if they came out with the arcade cabinet at the same time, or at least still in 77, I think they definitely would have been great for the time that they came out. And then for relevance, I gave it a 6 out of 10. Given the addition of the tag and chase game modes, I think it does have a bit of historical relevance. But if you're talking about just regular Sprint 8, I don't really think it's that innovative or interesting. It's cool and it does a good job, but it's not great in itself. But with those other game modes, it really helps kind of diversify the racing genre, I think. So overall, I gave it a 2.5 out of 10. I think Sprint 8's fun, but nothing really new or crazy other than the fact that it has the 8 players. But with the 2 game modes taken, tag and chase game modes taken into account, it's definitely more exciting. But even with that, the graphics and the sound are like cool, but not really enough to really impress me.
Mhm.
So it was weird. It kind of just felt like a competent and fun experience, which is a luxury when we're playing some of these 77 games, but nothing really extra that made me think like, wow, this is great.
Yeah. I almost feel like it's the kind of the opposite of like with Gunfight, for instance. I felt like the original gunfight compared to Boot Hill, which was like the second gen or the next gen version of that game. They really try to overhaul just every part of the game. Whereas with the racing games that Atari's doing, I think there's been like 3 that have come out in between Indy 800, which was the first 8-player racing game that came out in 75, and Sprint 8, which is the new 8-player racing game. Like, the actual racing isn't that much different. You know, there's drifting now, but both games had color. I think the sprites looked pretty much the same. I mean, I think Sprint 8 maybe looks a little bit better, and you can pick between 1 to 4 tracks, but that's kind of it. You know, for 2 years of development, I feel like it hasn't done that much compared to some of the other ones that we've seen anyway.
Yeah, it was like incremental, small enough incremental improvements that I didn't really feel like I noticed it that much playing through this.
Because we have played through all of them, all of those
Pretty
in
much,
betweens
yeah,
too.
yeah. So we've seen the incremental changes. Maybe that's part of the problem too. But still, it's a good one, but not really knocking my socks off.
Yeah, it's not pushing the envelope, but it's very solid.
Exactly.
Well, cool. Let's move on to some more stuff. This next one is an honorable mention called Super Stud by Mirko, which came out sometime in 77. It's a poker game, but I don't really know much more info on it. I think all I had was a flyer. So it's some sort of poker game, but really not much info. And then that's going to move me on to the next one that I rated, and the last rated game for today. It's called Pool by, well, I'm not sure who it's by actually, but it's on the Xerox Alto. And this is an interesting one. This one came out May 77, along with Sprint 8, which also came out May 77. But this is it's a pretty good pool game, and I don't know if we've ever played a pool game on the timeline. I don't think we have. Pool games have come out, but we've never been able to play one. And it's kind of pretty cool to play a pool game. I don't know. I've just been like feeling it. I don't know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was pretty excited to look at this one. It's on the Xerox Alto, which is a computer that we've mentioned before, but I don't think we ever did a special topic just on it. But it was one of the earliest like personal computers. I think it came out in 73. I want to say it's notable for being, I think, the first computer to have a mouse with it, which I know we mentioned somewhere, but it's not like one of the newer computers, which is interesting that it's getting a game now, kind of, I would assume late in its career. I'm not sure, but they only have this one game so far, and it's called Pool, and it's not quite like the Pool that we all kind of imagine Pool to be. But there are similarities. To start out, you know, you're looking at a pool table with 6 pockets, and the pool table itself looks pretty clean. So it looks pretty nice. You've got a full set of pool balls, and each one has its number on it, which is great. They're all kind of like see-through with an outline, except for the 8-ball, which is colored black, and then you see like a see-through of the number 8 on it, which is cool. And then the cue ball is just like a see-through ball, but there's no number on it. And you play it just like pool, essentially. The gameplay and the controls are different, though. I think when most people think of pool, they're thinking almost like, you know, you pull back the mouse and that's kind of like your power, you know, for instance, and you just kind of point it in the right direction.
Right.
On this one, it was weird. They have 3 different buttons, and they actually have a pretty nice instructions here of how to play, but essentially it's like right mouse button is slow speed hit, middle mouse button is medium speed hit, and then left mouse is high speed hit, and that's how it did it. So it's a little weird. I'm not quite sure what the benefits to hitting at different speeds would be, but maybe if you're really into pool, you might know. I feel like I always just hit as hard as I can, but who knows. Before I get any further, I want to say that I played this on an emulator, and on the emulator for the Xerox Alto, there are bugs with it, and there is a bug that makes the mouse like kind of wiggle by itself. So it was really hard for me to aim, and basically made the game almost unplayable for me. But I'm not going to count it against it, because I don't think the original Xerox Alto had a wiggling mouse problem. But when you're trying to aim stuff perfectly right, in a pool game, that can be a problem. Essentially, you just kind of like point your mouse or click on the board where you want the ball to go, like that in that angle between where the ball is and the mouse. That's the direction it'll go. So you can just basically click on the ball that you want to hit, assuming there's nothing in between it, and your cue ball will head that way. But because my mouse was all kind of wiggling out, I often missed or hit it slightly off, and that kind of messed up the whole hit. So, but I'm not going to count that against it. Let me get into my ratings because that might help explain it a little bit better. Let's start with sound. It's just easy to get it out of the way. It's a computer game. There's no sound. Unfortunate, but it's better than sounds that make you mad. So it's okay. For graphics, I already mentioned that the table looks very nice. The balls are kind of weird. They're circles, but there's a limited number of pixels, so they look like Minecraft circles, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not that they look bad, but sometimes they just it looks like you're hitting like oblong potatoes sometimes instead of balls or solid, spheres. But it's not bad at all, I don't think, what it looks like. So for graphics, I just gave it 1.5 out of 10. There's not really any color. On the emulator, instead of it being like white and black, it's like a light blue and black. But I think everything looks pretty clean. The table does not take up the whole screen, which bothers me because I'm like, there's a bunch of like blank space here you could be using. But it's not bad looking. It's just like not the best either. Obviously, all the balls, it's not like there's stripes and solids or anything like that. They're all just numbered. So
Right.
And the 8-ball is the only one with any kind of color on it. Yeah, so I couldn't go too high, but I thought 1.5 out of 10 is pretty nice. Where it's like it looks all right.
And I'm guessing they don't spin it all right. They're kind of just like moving
Not really.
circles, and
Yeah.
the number always looks straight at you.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Going on to gameplay, this was kind of a hard one to rate. Obviously, the mouse didn't make it easy on me, but I think the main issue with this is the physics are not quite there. There are decent physics, and I love the way, like, if the cue ball hits, how they're all stacked up in the beginning, right?
Mhm.
When the cue ball hits that, they all it hits the first one, that one hits the next two, that one hits the next two. Like, you have that kind of nice break, and maybe that's like what they were really going for. But everything's like just kind of very janky. Like, I've had it where, like, let's say I just barely touched like the side of a ball, like the most that ball can move is kind of like 45 degrees from where I hit it. But I've had it where I've like just scraped the edge of it and it like goes backwards. And I'm like, that's impossible to go that way. I've also had it where, let's say the cue ball hit a ball and then that ball hit another ball. The third ball down the line like gained more speed than the second ball had. Like weird stuff like that. And there's also, I think that the worst thing about the game is that the balls slow down in their speed very slowly. It's almost like every frame maybe their speed drops in half, but that means like at the end it's like it's going like 0.5 miles an hour, now 0.25, now 0.125, now like it's 0.006, but it's still moving. It's just very, very slow.
Right.
And then it finally stops. It's weird because you'll hit it and you'll be like, okay, time to hit again, and there'll be like a ball somewhere just like slightly moving. And you're like, just stop. Like, that's not how physics work. You should have stopped by now. And it's weird. You can hit as soon as the cue ball stops. So you can hit while other balls are still moving, which is interesting. But a lot of the times the cue ball is the one that's like everyone else has stopped and the cue ball is just like barely moving and you're like, I want to hit. And it's like
Right.
Nothing's happening. So it's just a bit janky. It is satisfying to play. The mouse issue made it basically unplayable for me. I spent about 10 minutes trying to hit the 8-ball in because I wanted to know if it would have did some sort of automatic loss. And after 10 minutes, I did hit the 8-ball in a hole, and nothing happened. So I guess you just have to play honor system with that. Overall, for like my first ever take on a pool game, I thought it was decent. You know, the physics happened. The balls look pretty good. You have different hitting speeds, and I don't know. I think it's decent, but it's just a little bit behind when it comes to physics, which is understandable. So for gameplay, I gave it 2 out of 10. I think it's decently fun. Obviously, there's no versus internet, thing. You could play 2 player, but you just have to trade off on the keyboard, which I think is totally fine. So I think it could be decently amount of fun, and I could see people trying to get really good at internet pool. So that makes me happy.
Nice.
And then for relevance, I wasn't quite sure. I give it 6 out of 10. It's kind of on this system that I feel like not a lot of people use, or I mean, we don't see games for it really. And I've done a lot of research for 78, and there's not a lot of Xerox Alto games in there either. So I don't know how many people actually saw this game. And there have been other pool games before it, but it's the first pool game that we've seen. So I've gave it a 6 out of 10 because it does pool pretty well, and it did it in a way that was popular enough that somebody was able to get it running, 40 years later or whatever. So I wanted to give it some points, but I don't know how much it really influenced the next game. So yeah, that's pool for the Xerox Alto, a very decent one overall. I gave it. Oh, I didn't add it up. I gave it a 2.5 at no, that seems too high. I gave it a 2 out of 10 overall. I think it's decently amount of fun. It's just like sometimes the physics I think would drive you a little upset. Like I hit it perfectly and you went like a crazy angle for no reason. But sometimes I think most of the time it does generally what you would expect. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good, honestly. And it's a nice like computer one because we haven't had a big computer game in a while. I don't think so. It was cool that way too.
Yeah, it honestly sounds pretty cool. I mean, the more I think about it, that's got to be pretty hard to generate spherical or circular, at least, objects
Yeah.
hitting and ricocheting at the right angles on like a computer in '77. So that's kind of
And
crazy.
how many balls are there? Like 16? I've got no clue. Or 12. I had to count them up.
13. We're both embarrassing ourselves. I don't know either. I think it's like 13 or something.
It's
But,
15
okay.
or 16 if you include the cue ball. So that's a lot. And as like when the break happens, it's very fluid. It's not like it takes a second to buffer or anything. It's like it just calculates physics for 16 balls at one time. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And it does a pretty good job of it too. So yeah, a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get more of them.
Oh, yeah.
But that'll do it for me today, and then we only have one more to go, Wes.
Yeah, so let's wrap it up with our last honorable mention. This is the Paslow Checkers program, PAASLOW. Came out in May as well, and it's the first program to beat a grandmaster at something, in this case being checkers.
Right.
So we sort of talked about that chess program a little while ago, and just to mention another one of those little interesting tidbit of what's going on in '77.
Yep. Computers are taking over the world.
Exactly.
No, yeah, so that's cool. And that'll do it for us today. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you enjoyed my rants, because there was a lot of those today. But it was all good fun. And next week will be a very interesting one. I'm not quite sure exactly how long it'll be, but we're getting into this weird summer games release where like there's a lot of good games coming out, Wes. We might only review like 7 games and rate 4 of them next week. We'll see.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah, so we're gonna get into some good stuff here. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys next time. Nope.
Yep.
Wes,
Well,
why don't
before you see us next time, make sure to check us out on Twitter. We make announcements there for when we're not posting an episode or if there's a delay in our recording or anything like that. Make sure to check out the website. It's looking beauticious as always, as Ben keeps updating that. And send us an email if you have any questions.
And with that, we will end there. So see you guys next time.
See you guys next time.